A near collision between a Chinese and a Philippine patrol boat in the South China Sea has exposed the feuding that still exists between the countries over disputed territory. Now, that's despite recent efforts to ease tensions. This just days before the Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. makes a White House visit to discuss regional security with his U.S. counterpart, Joe Biden. In Sunday's incident in the Spratly Islands, two boats from the Philippine Coast Guard approached the Ayungin Shoal, known in China as Ren'ai Jiao. As one boat neared the shoal, a Chinese Coast Guard vessel more than twice its size sailed into its path.
China has indisputable sovereignty over islands in the South China Sea and their adjacent waters.
The Chinese vessel issued a radio warning to the Philippine ships. The Philippine Coast Guard radioed back, telling the Chinese Coast Guard to steer clear of their way.
The Ayungin Shoal falls within the Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone. Request to stay clear from our passage in accordance with the collision regulations. Over.
The Philippine captain said the Chinese ship came within 45 meters of his boat, and only his quick action stopped the vessels from crashing into each other. But Beijing insists the Philippine boats had, quote, intruded into its territory.
需要强调的是，菲方船只搭载记者冲闯仁爱礁海域，是一场有预谋的挑衅行为，蓄意找茬碰瓷，并借机炒作。中方对此表示严正抗议和强烈不满，敦促菲方尊重中国在南海的领土主权和海洋权益，停止采取导致局势复杂化的行动。
And for more on this, Camille Alenia joins us live from Manila. Camille, this comes a day after the Philippine president met with Chinese Foreign Minister Qin Gang in Manila. What does this indicate right now about the state of Chinese-Philippine relations?
The recent incident highlights the volatility of the relations between the two countries, particularly on the issue of the South China Sea. While Manila and Beijing have repeatedly said that the differences in the South China Sea are not the sum total of their ties, when things like this happen, it seemed the other aspects of that relations fall by the wayside. It also does not help in building trust among between the two governments and their peoples. Recent surveys have shown that Filipinos prefer the U.S. and other Western allied nations to China. And this incident will not be beneficial to China if they want to change that mentality or thinking among the local people. Add to that the fact that this incident coincided with the visit of Qin Gang, who also met with President Marcos, and they agreed to establish more communication lines to effectively or to immediately resolve issues concerning the West Philippine Sea. And the recent incident, or in general, the West Philippine Sea, it informs how the Philippine government relates to the Taiwan issue, particularly on Manila's defense. Several military officials also have said, and also actually President Marcos said that they will continue to ally themselves with like-minded nations to continue boosting the defense capabilities of the Philippines.
Oh, Camille, as you mentioned, public sentiment on the U.S. as opposed to public sentiment towards China. So these things will matter, I take it, when President Marcos meets President Biden in Washington next week. How do you see these developments affecting this meeting next week?
For sure, the two presidents will discuss defense issues. President Marcos himself has said that he would like to clarify with U.S. President Biden the extent of the commitment of the U.S. in protecting the Philippines under the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty, the basis of the security alliance of the two countries. Marcos has also said that this agreement must evolve with the changing times, citing the tensions on the South China Sea, Taiwan, and North Korea. However, he has yet to specify the changes that he would like to see. Marcos, in that meeting, will also deliver a policy speech, as well as during that trip from April 30 to May 4, he will also have a public conversation with a U.S.-based organization called the Center for Strategic and International Studies, which closely follow and monitor the security and defense situations in our region.
Thanks so much for speaking to us, Camille Alimia, speaking to us live there from Manila.